Welcome to Allie's Attic, where you never know what kind of surprise you'll find in my attic. I'm your host, Allie, and today my surprise is a half marathon runner, a mother of four, and a lady who founded the online community called Run Heifer Run. And I'm going to let her explain all of that to you. Please welcome Melissa Kahn. Hello, Melissa.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Okay, so I know your story, obviously. I would love if you could share it with us about what exactly Run Heifer Run is. I mean, we all know that heifer is a cow. um, but in your it encompasses what you're doing. But maybe explain your journey right from the beginning, right to now, and about your online community.
Absolutely, I'm happy to. So, essentially, the background is, I grew up a very overweight child my whole life. I was the product of a broken home, the product of multiple types of abuse, which, is neither here nor there. I suffered as a child greatly, and I would say kind of became a food addict and used food to just cover my emotions and hide all those things. It was easier to find a best friend in a cheeseburger and a donut than to go out and meet other people. I was bullied, I was harassed, abused, like I said. So I really didn't have much to count on other than food. Food was constantly there for me. So you can imagine growing into an adult life where all of a sudden, I'm 5'4", and I was almost topping out at 300 pounds. After a while, I had gotten married, and I was maybe about 260, maybe a little bit less, and then had 4 children. And with each child, it was just a great excuse to eat more and more. I'm eating for the baby, or I'm nursing, and I need more calories. And so, after all 4 kids were born, I continued to gain weight. I couldn't understand why every summer I would go into my closet and these little elves snuck in there and shrank all my clothing. How did they do that? I would every year, this doesn't fit me anymore. It fit last year. So I would get bigger and bigger each year. And one day I just decided, you know what? I need to make a change. I can't handle living this way anymore. Looking in the mirror, and for a lot of people, the mirror betrays you. You look in there and you can kind of convince yourself, well, if I stand in the right light, I look okay. One day I saw a photo of myself, and I almost didn't recognize myself in the picture. I thought, gosh, who is this really, really obese person? And then, it hit you like a ton of bricks. Like, wow, I've let myself go so far that I don't even know if I can get this back. And that's kind of what happened, and that led up to my decision to join Jenny Craig. Actually, I drove to the nearest center. I had seen some TV commercials, maybe seen in People magazine, I don't know. If Valerie Bertinelli could do it, well, why can't I?
Mm-hmm.
We both have brown hair. Maybe I could be cute like her. So really, I didn't know. I knew Weight Watchers was too much calculating for me. Like I said, 4 kids. I don't have the brain cells to spare. So I thought, I'm just going to do Jenny Craig. It's the easiest thing for me. And prior to doing that, I had lost about 40 pounds on my own, but kind of stalled out. Just couldn't get any more weight off. It's frustrating. So I went in. They helped me actually lose the rest of the 70 pounds, and that was. It was liberating. I was finally able to wear clothing that was from the regular stores. I didn't have to go into the larger size stores anymore. And there's just a big satisfaction about feeling normal, feeling that you're not set apart and made to be ridiculed because you need 3X or 4X or whatever. And then I maintained my weight loss. A couple of years ago, a friend called me and she challenged me to run a half marathon. And I've never run a day in my life. I was that person that would say, if I'm running, you might want to run too because something is chasing us. We don't know what's behind us, what's going. And so I hung up on her. I told her to, I uttered some bad words. And I hung up on her. And then the next day I called her back and I said, I'm going to do it. This is so crazy. I've never run. And instead of starting with something like a 5K, which is just 3.1 mile, let me try it. What the heck? So I said, I'll do it. I signed up while my head was still in the game. And so I had to do it. I committed to it. I paid for it. I told her I would do it. I began running. And a good friend of mine who lives in Tennessee, and I like to call it where she lives, backwoods Tennessee. It's very, very backwoods, kind of in the middle of nowhere. I think they just got cable TV. And she called me and she said, "Run, Heifer, run!" And in this horribly southern Tennessee accent. And I thought, you know what? there's something to that. So I went online and I bought the .com, .org, .net, .biz, whatever. I bought them all. And I started to keep a blog. And just talking about my feelings about the journey, this is, from kind of like from fat to fit, you just go from really overweight, never thinking you could do anything. And then the next thing you know, you're trying the Couch to 5K program and, you're dying after 6 seconds and you think, we need an AED and an ambulance to come get you. But the next day you go back out and you try it again. And I started to write about my journey, and I started to share it on Facebook and just with friends and family through email. And all of a sudden, people started responding to it, and they said, you're so real and honest about the journey. We want to hear more. Talk about this and this. So as it grew, I decided to create a Facebook group around Run Heifer Run where we could add all those people where they want to talk about their struggles and encourage other people. And then I got on Twitter and found an amazing community of people, all these runners that I never knew existed. I mean, thousands and thousands of inspiring stories out there where, if you're a non-runner and you see people out running, you're thinking, man, these guys are nuts. But when you're a runner, all of a sudden, you pay attention to who you see out there, and then to be able to learn all of their stories has been absolutely incredible because each and every person is fighting a battle we know nothing about. And each and every person has a different reason for running. And to discover all about these people has just been such a journey and such an awakening, not just for me, but for the people in Run Heifer Run, because they understand finally that their story can actually inspire other people just by being honest and telling the world their struggles. And in that vulnerability, there's strength, and there's so much strength in that we find support and encouragement and the power to continue and to fight our struggles. It's been an amazing journey. Absolutely amazing.
Well, I want to say hats off to you, first off. I did the same thing. I lived a very abusive life. I was abused all the time. My father, the men I was with, whatever. And I did the same thing. I ate. And I was over 300 pounds. I'm 5'7". And 3 years ago, I made a change in my life and decided enough. I needed to, break the abuse cycle and, get my life on track. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune disease, and I moved in with my parents, which is awful to say because I'm going to be just about 50, but whatever. It's the way it is. And I'm now under 200 pounds. So
Wow.
and
that's amazing.
Yeah. And it does. It is so liberating and you feel so much better about yourself. You're actually able to look in the mirror at any angle. And I mean, I still have a ways to go, but I'm so proud of myself. And the hardest part I have is I still go into the 3X, 4X, and it's my mom saying, no, those won't fit you. And I'm like, really? So I'm actually in a large now. But the hardest part I have, yeah, the hardest part I have is buying new clothes. I can't afford to, you know what I mean? Like that's one of the hardest things. And I don't run, not with my disease, but yeah.
It is. As you transition from size to size, especially, everybody says, don't go all out, don't spend a fortune because you're going to continue to lose. And, your body changes. And so what I discovered was, everywhere I've lived, there's consignment shops. So I could buy a couple things that are very high-end, very well-made, that somebody else has worn, but they're still like new to me. And then when I'm done with them, I can sell them back to that same shop and kind of trade them in for the next size smaller. And that's really what I did as I went along the way. And each size that I was able to shed, I would take off. And I would literally wear just T-shirts and jeans. That's it. And in the winter, sweatshirts, like triple XL sweatshirts, jeans, and Crocs. And I don't wear Crocs anymore. I'm just going to say that. And I was finally be able to have clothing that I thought, wow, this makes me look like a girl, because when you're that size, sometimes it's really hard to find good clothing that makes you feel pretty. And I was never one of those people that felt pretty when I was large. I had no self-esteem, no self-confidence. I was just miserable to be around. And as the weight came off, my personality awakened a little bit. And then as Run Heifer Run grew, I turned into an entirely different person. And it's just been so much fun just watching the whole transformation happen. And it's still happening. There's so many more things going on that continue that evolution. It's just, and just to watch that in other people is really the most amazing thing as they shed the pounds and discover their inner beauty, if you will, because a lot of people don't believe it exists. But when you see, I'm still afraid to walk by a mirror and look, because living my whole life as an obese person, you're gun shy. You don't want to look in the mirror. You want to look away.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time I look in the reflection, I wrote a blog post about it a couple months ago. And every time I look in the reflection, I almost get taken aback. I'm like, oh, phew, I still look this way, because it's scary. It's terrifying to think that you have to go back.
Yeah.
After experiencing life this way, I don't want to go back ever.
Yeah, exactly. Neither do I. Neither do I. And I love that you just shared about the consignment store, because I never even thought of doing that, but now I'm going
Oh,
to.
yeah.
um Now, you talk about, like, not being like the so low self-esteem and no self-confidence. And with me, it was so weird because when I was younger, I was slim. I ended up modeling actually for a couple of years, and then ended up with a really bad man, and just the cycle kept going. And the longer it
Right.
went, the more I ate, the more I stayed in my room, the more I didn't want to deal with society. And yeah, you avoid mirrors if you can, and you try very hard not to see it. Like, the only thing I would focus on when I looked in the mirror is my face or my hair. I wouldn't look anywhere else.
Right.
And now that I've gone through my healing process and have lost the weight, and now I'm actually seeing somebody, which I was determined I was never going to do, and he's actually a nice guy, which is even weirder. And it is amazing how you still kind of carry that with you, even though you've lost the weight, and you're on the right track, and you're doing good. I still have body issues, and I guess that will always stay with me. I just don't know how to work through that.
It's definitely a process. And I was talking with some friends in the United Kingdom where it's saying that in America everybody has shrink. We all have a therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist. We all have this, and in many other places it's really frowned upon to seek out therapy for yourself and seek out just kind of that self evolution. Whether you're embarrassed to go buy a book or whatever, there's tools that people can use out there to kind of get past that. But it definitely starts with the desire to make the change, because you have to want to change in order to get there. You can't just wait for change to knock on your door. It's kind of like the winning lotto ticket. It's not going to knock on your door. You have to go out and you have to seek it. And it can be very difficult, as you well know, having been a victim of childhood abuse. There's so many different layers that you have to revisit and uncover, and each and every layer is disgustingly painful and horrible, and it's gut-wrenching to have to relive everything in order to get past it. But that's really the only way past it. That you don't go around it, you have to go through it. And it's such a scary process, but in accomplishing that, there's such triumph in being able to get through all of that and come out on the other side, kind of like that Barry Manilow song, and I think I'm aging myself here, where he says he made it through the rain. That's really true. You have to go through the storm to come out on the other side. You have to go through it, and that's the only way. You can't go around it, above it, behind it, next to it, through it, and it sucks, and it's so hard, and people are afraid, and that's why, for me, that's why I continued to eat my emotions away. I didn't want to go through that, but when I had the courage, finally, to stand up to myself and look in the mirror and say, no more, I am worth more than this. I don't want to die early of a heart attack, diabetes, any of that. I want to live the life that I feel that the universe intended me to live. I have to go through this hard stuff. And having gone through it and being able to help other people realize that they have to go through it also, there's nothing more rewarding to watch people evolve and see that they too can come out on the other side. And it's hard, and you take some fire, and there's some war stories, but you always come out better. And it's, self-discovery is just, I think it's a lifelong process that we all just keep going through, over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. I know one of the psychiatrists that I saw told me to write down every bad memory I have, like one at a time, and keep writing it, and then reading it and reading it and reading it and reading it until it didn't affect me. Like, I mean, obviously it's still going to affect, but so that I wasn't bawling my eyes out, like sitting in the corner shivering. And that did work. But what worked the most, I think, was thinking about the disease I have takes years off my life anyway. And I had to make the decision about, I want to be around for my daughter and my grandkids and possibly great grandkids. You know what I mean? And I had to make that decision that I wanted to be healthy and I wanted to prolong this disease as much as I could. And I mean, add years to my life instead of taking even more because I am diabetic. I'm type 2, which my sugar
Right?
levels are finally all leveling out. Everything's leveling out and it's just amazing. Um, and my mom, I mean, my, you have to have a good support system. And my mother is unbelievable. I mean, she sees me every day, and every day she tells me, I can't believe how much weight you lost. Look at how good you are. You're so beautiful, and blah, blah, blah.
Aw.
And you need that. And with the online community that you've established is, you can't even put it into words what you've done for people, Melissa, because you've put your story out there and you've allowed them to share. And people need that. And people need the encouragement and they need somebody there to, when they do have a bad day and they sit down and they eat a whole chocolate cake or whatever the case may be, and they feel guilty as hell, they need somebody to talk to. And you've provided that. And it just blows my mind. It's just amazing.
Well, thank you. It's I do get it's funny. Sitting in my office here, I have what I call an inspiration wall, and I didn't know people actually still wrote letters and cards. And I'd say maybe at least once a week or once every 10 days, I get something in the mail from one of the heifers, just a handwritten note saying, "This community has helped me so much in so many different ways." And I put each and every one of them up, and I love looking at them every day, and to provide that type of form. I mean, these people come to the group. Many of them are not abused. Many of them are not obese. Many of them are very fit Ironmen. But we all have a cross to bear, and we all have our own issues. And so that's why it's another thing when you learn, gosh, you can't judge a book by its cover, because here we've got, somebody who looks slim and trim and is doing all this, and then they tell their story where they fought anorexia their whole life, and they struggle to gain weight. And so all of a sudden, all those preconceptions go flying out the door, because until you talk to each person, you just don't know their struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So we have people coming from every single angle, and, I get calls every day. I was speaking this morning to one of the heifers. I give my phone number out readily, and people call me, and we talk about it. They say, I need you to talk me off this ledge. And it's one of these things where it's an honor that somebody would think in their time of need to pick up the phone and call me. I have no counseling background. I don't have that. But what I do have is the experience and ability to speak in a very raw way about the fact that we all struggle, and that, giving up is never, ever, ever an option.
Mm-hmm.
We don't give up. We keep on.
Keep going.
And people really seem to resonate with whatever it is about that message. People seem to really resonate. And I'm just so blessed that there's so many people out there that associate with Run Heifer Run, and that continue to perpetuate such an amazing group of people. I mean, I started it, but they're the heart and soul of all of it, truly.
Mm-hmm. Well, no kidding. They would be such an inspiration to hear their stories and have them thank you and phone you. Now, you've lost over 110 pounds, so congratulations. You look amazing. The picture, your before and after picture, will be up on my website, so people can see the difference. I want to, Monica DuPont is the one that connected us, and I am so glad that she did. She knows my story.
I love her.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing, and she puts people in the house of blues. I mean, she's just I can't even put into words how much I love Monica. And she knew that I needed not just to have you on my show, but to talk to you, because she knows what I've gone through too. And I don't hide it. I'm very open and honest with everybody. And there's a little interview on the front of my website that kind of talks about what I've gone through, but it doesn't talk about my weight, because when I first started this, I was still kind of heavy. So I was, I don't talk about it because it was embarrassing and I don't want anybody to know. And, you want to hide.
Exactly.
And, now it's weird. If I walk, my shoulders are back, my head is held up. Like your whole posture changes because you're now confident.
Yeah.
And it's just
your whole life changes.
Yeah. It's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. The feeling I can't even put into words. And the fact that you have started this and let people, go through the journey with you because you've gone through it as well, makes a huge difference, because it's not. And I'm not going to say this in a bad way. I've gone through a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, whatever the case, because of everything that's gone on in my life. And when it first started, I was very bitter, thinking, you know what? You're reading this from a book. You don't know what I went through. So don't sit here and tell me what I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to feel. And I think that's the difference when you're talking to somebody that's gone through what you've gone through, because you're like, you know what? They've walked in my footsteps. They know what I'm going through, or, the guilt and the self-consciousness. And so that's why I absolutely love that you do what you do. And it doesn't matter if you have any kind of, psychiatry background. You've done it. You've lived through it.
Well, and so that's what I always tell people is that, look, I can speak to my own experience, and I can speak to what I feel. I would, like to tell you, I spoke with one amazing woman. I won't say her name, but she called me last week, and kind of like, I need to get back into it. I've had this traumatic event. How do I get back out there? I just spoke to her from my heart, and something along the lines of when I said what I said, I believe I told her something along the lines of, don't be a victim to yourself. And she said, that's it right there. That's what I needed to hear. And so, you never know what you're saying and what's going to resonate with somebody. So all I do is, say, look, this is my experience. I'm speaking to you from my heart. Here's how I would handle the situation if this was me. But everybody's different. And for whatever reason, the words that I chose really resonated with her. And that's all she needed to hear. She's like, yeah, I'm good, fine. Okay. Move on. And really, I just kind of hang up and shake my head like, oh, I'm glad to help. I don't know what I said that was magical, but I'm glad to help. And really, I think sometimes, too, people need to be heard on a visceral level. People struggling with weight or other issues, we all need to be heard and validated. There's such a need in our society for validation. And if you don't get it from other people, it's hard to learn how to have self-validation. And sometimes you just want somebody to tell you, hey, you look great, or hey, you did great today, or you just want to hear some kind words. And unfortunately, so many people don't have those right people in their life that can say that to them. So that's what the heiferhood is all about. It's about saying, wow, I think you look like you dropped a couple pounds and you look healthy, or wow, you shaved a minute off your 5K time. Anything that just helps encourage people to keep going and to keep being the best version of themselves. That's what we're all about. And there's magic in that as you watch people kind of crack out of their own shell and evolve into the people that they're meant to be. There's something so magical about watching that happen, and it's just a blessing to be any type of involved with that. Every day I just get so much joy watching all the stories. The Facebook group moves so quickly that I don't even see all the posts, but the ones I do see, I just I marvel at. I just think, man, you guys, they're the real deal. All these heifers. And I will say, each and every one of their stories is highlighted on the website. If you click on the herd, you'll see each person's name in a little circle. Click on that name, and you'll read each and every one of their stories. Hundreds.
Wow, that is amazing. Okay, so let's talk about how people can find you. So you are on Facebook. It is called Run Heifer Run.
Yes. There is a Facebook group that's called Run Heifer Run. It's a closed group, so if they apply to join, there's a question, how did you hear about us? I would love to see how, put in there, I heard you on Allie's show. Perfect. Let's write it.
I'd love that too. Now you also have a website, runheiferrun.com, which will be up on my website. So people can click on it and go straight to you. And I'm sure from there you can find your Facebook and any other thing that you have up there. I want to thank you so much for, this story meant so much to me because I've gone through it. You know what I mean? I can't run. I am going to be joining a gym where I can swim because my doctor has given me the okay for swimming because it's easier on my joints. I wish I could run. I wish I could run like I used to when I was younger, and I loved it. It's just a peaceful feeling. You can't even describe it, but it's just a beautiful feeling. But I am going to be swimming and hopefully toning up. And then I found out in Manitoba, because of our healthcare, I get to, once I've lost enough weight, I have a plastic surgeon that helped me with another issue. They will cut off all the excess skin and tighten your stomach. And I hope to,
That's perfect.
My biggest wish is that across the world that would be offered to men and women for free, because they don't know what you go through. And they don't know, I mean, once you've lost all the weight, you feel confident, but you've got all this excess skin that just makes you feel disgusting. So I can
relate. I did the surgery. I did multiple surgeries. But we won't talk about that.
No. We won't talk about that. I just wish it was free across the world.
It should be, and many health insurances are starting to consider covering it. Genetically speaking, I was not blessed in all of all of my skin just kind of hung there, and I would make the joke that my arms I could flap and take out a small child in a windstorm.
Yeah, me too.
And thankfully, it's one of these things. I found a great surgeon, thankfully, and I don't have that issue anymore. But a lot of people don't have that option, and hopefully healthcare should be covering it. I mean, at some point, especially in your abdomen area, it can become, a health risk.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that is my wish. I just wish, and I'm hoping that there's doctors listening, because offer it for free for your patients, because you have no idea what it'll do for depression, suicide, and, anxiety, like all kinds of stuff that's related with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree with that. And it prevents it. You want to exercise, but it makes it difficult because, it's just one more thing to worry about.
And you don't want anybody to see you, even though you've lost the weight. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely agree with that for sure.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. This means so much to me. The more people I have on that have stories that relate to mine it's mind-blowing. And I think when you go through it, you put yourself kind of in a box, and you don't think that there's people out there that are willing to help you. So being able to have you on my show and share this story worldwide is very, very important to me. And keep in touch. Anything new happens, let me know. Any more success stories that they want to share, they're more than welcome to come on my show. And I know that we're going to be friends and stay in touch, because I absolutely love talking to you. I could talk to you forever.
I know. I really want to say thanks for having me. I do want to tell you one upcoming adventure to watch on Twitter. So if everybody out there is listening on and has a Twitter account, my account is Melissa, Melissa, Kahn, Kahn, and the number 7. I am going, and I just announced it recently, and there's more information coming soon. I'm going to be doing a triathlon in the Himalayan mountains in March, and I am documenting my journey in the hopes of inspiring at least one person. I hope a multitude of people, because none of this comes naturally to me, Allie. I don't identify as an athlete. I identify kind of as a heifer trying to do athletic things, and oftentimes it looks pretty silly. But so I'm documenting the journey and all the struggle and the fun, and most of it's struggle, I can't lie. But I'm documenting all of that for the world to see, so that hopefully somebody who's sitting on the couch now waiting for a sign to get healthy will go to the doctor and say, I need to get my blood checked. I'm afraid I'm diabetic. I need to go out and do something. If that journey can inspire even one person to maybe make a change for the better in their life, then it's so worth all of my pain to get through the finish line, and let the world watch. Because if I can do something like this, anybody can do anything. And I'm super excited about that journey. And we'll be partnering up with some well-known people that we'll start to talk about that here in a couple weeks. And just can't wait to share the rest of the journey. And the entire world has been so supportive. This morning I posted a horrible video, Heifer in Distress, and so many people called and sent me messages and said, wow, you're sharing all of this struggle. And I do, because it's so real, and people have to understand that just because I lost the weight, just because I look this way now, doesn't mean that on the inside I feel that same way. And I still identify as the fat girl, and I'm sure you can relate to that as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that will never change, I don't know, but if that can help even one person, man, what a blessing that'll be.
Well, make sure you tag me in all of your tweets, because I will retweet them everywhere. I want to be part of it. I want to watch it. So yeah. Anyways, like I said, anytime you want to come back on, Melissa, you can. If anybody that is in Run Heifer Run, and a heifer wants to come on my show and share their story, they're more than welcome. If somebody wants to come on my show that is anorexic or bulimic or anything like that, they're more than welcome to come on my show. So just spread the word so people know that there is a platform for them to come on and talk to somebody that has gone through it. And I haven't gone through, anorexia or bulimic, but, it's still kind of all in the same kind of realm. So anytime. And I wish you the best of luck. This is going to be so cool to watch, and what a beautiful place to do it. Like, holy crap.
I'm pretty excited. And I will say, for the record, I am taking 2 days on the way home with some friends in London to completely relax and unwind and enjoy just basking in the glory of what I hopefully will have just accomplished, because mentally speaking, this is truly the hardest thing I've ever had to do. This is much more difficult than losing weight. This is such a focused training in nutrition. It's unlike any discipline I have had. And so I'm very much looking forward to the event, and I'm even more looking forward to relaxing after the event, knowing
Yeah.
that I did it.
No kidding.
I don't think that for weeks probably.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I can't wait to watch. And I mean, like I said, I keep saying hats off to you because it's just amazing what you're doing. Um, so
Well,
yes,
thank you. Thank you so much for helping get the word out.
no, anytime, anytime. And thank you so much for coming on my show. I totally appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for joining me on Allie's Attic. Keep checking my website because you never know what kind of surprises you're going to find in my attic. Cheers.